Have you ever heard of the name John Locke? I'm pretty sure that many of us already know him. He is known for being the father of liberalism. And through this presentation of our group, we are going to discuss, tackle, and fully understand the life, history, and contributions of this majestic English philosopher. We will also learn the importance of his acts in today's world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation.
Perhaps some of you probably know John Locke, but let's get to know him more. Our modern society has benefited from John Locke's ideas, which have helped provide the groundwork for many theories and conceptions. Imagine knowing that from the grave your life philosophies have influenced the world we live in today. Even over a century after John Locke's death, his new thought influenced the foundation of New World known as America, as well as the ideology surrounding intellectual development.
The bibliography and history of John Locke.
Who was really John Locke? John Locke was a 17th century English philosopher, physician, and political theorist. He was recognized as the founder of British empiricism and the author of the first systematic exposition and defense of political liberalism. Thus, he is commonly known as the father of liberalism. He was born on 29th of August, year 1632 in Rington, Somerset, England, and died in October 28, 1704 in Essex, England. John Locke's father was also named John Locke, while his mother's name was Agnes Keene. He grew up in a small cottage by a church in Rington, Somerset, near Bristol. His family moved to Pensford, where Locke grew up in Belloton. Now, let's move on about John Locke's educational background. Locke's father was able to secure an opportunity for him to study at prestigious Westminster School in London, even though his family only made a modest living. In year 1652, he was accepted to Christ Church, Oxford. He also became part of the English Royal Society. Afterwards, he graduated from Oxford University with bachelor's degree in 1656. And later on, after 2 years, he also graduated with master's degree in 1658. John Locke focused mainly on medical study at Oxford. It was his first love with medicine. He even had contact with some advocates of new science named Bishop John Wilkins, Christopher Wren, Thomas Willis and Richard Lower, Robert Hooke, and most important, the eminent natural philosopher and theologian Robert Boyle. After he graduated college, Locke took classes in iodochemistry, the early application of chemistry to medicine. From there, he fell in love with the study of medicine. He would even go to the extensive research of human blood and would write essays on his research and develop many theories. He would eventually be appointed as a physician to the Earl of Shaftesbury. From the better understanding of human development to the Declaration of Independence, Locke's legacy is all around us. Now, we have a better idea of how impactful Locke's work was during Enlightenment period. Let's explore the impact Locke had on human development. John Locke mainly interested in political, epistemological, scientific, and religious tolerance.
John Locke's political philosophy. John Locke is among the most influential political philosophers of the modern period. His work, Two Treatises of Government, shaped political philosophy. In Two Treatises of Government, He defended the claim that men are by nature free and equal against claims that God had made all people naturally subject to a monarch. He believes people are equal and invested with natural rights in a state of nature in which they live free from outside rule. The most central concept in Locke's political philosophy is his theory of natural law and natural rights. Locke believed that the most basic human law of nature is the preservation of mankind. To serve that purpose, he reasoned individuals have both the right and the duty to preserve their own lives. As for natural right, he argued that people have rights such as the right to life, liberty, and property. The difference between the two is that natural law emphasizes duties while natural rights normally emphasize privileges or claims to which an individual was entitled.
John Locke's interests in epistemology.
John Locke. No one's knowledge here can go beyond this experience. This is a view of an empiricist. One of the contributions John Locke made was his contribution to our education. John Locke was an empirical teacher before. He was an English philosopher and physician, the father of liberalism, and also the first British empiricist, theologian, and an educator. This is the principle according to John Locke's philosophy. In his book, An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, published in 1690, there he said and explained that a child is born devoid of innate ideas and that knowledge is determined only from experience, resulting from sense perception, the notion well known as empiricism. From there we can understand that John Locke emphasizes knowledge from experience. We learn from him how senses contribute to learning for us. We learn 1% from a sense of taste, we learn 1.5% from a sense of touch, and 3.5% from a sense of smell, 11% through hearing, and we learn 83% through our sight. This explains his principle that we majority learn from reading than listening and that we learn from reading followed by writing. John Locke's theory on education. He stated that proper education begins in an early adolescence. In his view, a children's life should be a simple that emphasizes the importance of child's social health, diet, and activities. Education for John Locke should be done gradually in line with the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. The sensation is the force that constructs our thinking, and the significance of mathematics as an effective tool of construction stimulates experiential processing in learning and the use of the scientific method of instruction.
John Locke's interests in the scientific world.
Locke's philosophical interests divide roughly into 3 parts: political and scientific. On the scientific side, he was much influenced by his friend, the Irish scientist Robert Boyle, whom he helped with his experiments and whose corpuscular theory of matter Locke argued for in the essay. According to this theory, every physical thing is composed of submicroscopic, indivisible particles, corpuscles, and all of an object's properties are the result of the arrangement of its corpuscles. There are 2 main kinds of property or quality: primary and secondary. There are both the powers to produce ideas in us, but whereas the ideas produced by primary qualities resemble the objects, the ideas produced by secondary qualities don't. Primary qualities are spatio-temporal and quantitative, for example, size and shape, while secondary qualities are non-spatio-temporal and qualitative, for example, color and taste. The secondary qualities depend upon the primary quality arrangement of the corpuscles of the object, together with the arrangement of corpuscles in the perceiver, and in the case of sight and hearing, the corpuscles making up the light or the air. Corpuscles themselves, of course, have primary but not secondary qualities. This is a more sophisticated version of a distinction to be found in Galileo and Descartes. They considered the secondary qualities to be subjective simply in the mind of the observer, and therefore of no interest to science, while Locke held all qualities to be objective, genuinely part of the world. The ideas produced by the qualities on the other hand, do deeper in their status. Primary quality ideas are utterly objective, while secondary quality aren't.
John Locke's interests in religious tolerance.
The only business of the Church is salvation of souls, and it is no concern to the Commonwealth or any member in it. Whether the ceremony or that is part of that celebration, these are strong words from John Locke's letter concerning toleration. The letter was written in 1685, when Locke was in exile, the exclusion crisis in the immediate context per Locke's letter concerning toleration. But we get a better understanding of this work when we think about the 150-year history of the religious persecution and retribution. And in fighting that is one of the motives that this exhibition has documented. Locke had come to the conclusion that persecution and punishment could never secure consent to the state religion, and so it was in the best interest of the state to let people worship as they pleased. Now, Locke was very much a person of his own time. By that I mean he was not willing to extend these privileges to Catholics or to atheists or to certain other religions. We also have to understand that while Locke was composing this observation from abroad, there were lots of religious nonconformists on the streets, especially the streets of London. So you really have to put together Locke's observation in a kind of philosophical way with activity on the street to get a sense of what movements were forcing open the question of religious toleration. John Locke liked his writing on the nature of rights and the equality. Of all people, Locke's thinking and writing on tolerance were incredibly influential and affect society to this day. In many Western countries, Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, and many other religious and atheists live together, trade with one another, and cooperate in peaceful environment. Despite their differing beliefs, John Locke's ideas about tolerance laid the foundation for such societies back in 60s. Things were very different. Discrimination, segregation, and even wars regularly occurred because of religious differences, witnessing the divisive effects of this intolerance. Locke advocated for religious tolerance. This was considered a radical idea at the time. Locke argued that tolerating differences rather than demanding uniformity was a strength rather than a weakness, because it could lead to greater stability. Locke saw the increased stability coming from the cooperation that occurs when people were tolerant of difference.
John Locke's contributions in the society.
Generally speaking, this is the summary of John Locke's contribution to society. John Locke played a key role in making our world the way it is today. He contributed to modern-day thought, democracy, and the Constitution.
On the other hand, to give you guys quick information, the following are John Locke's major works. A Letter Concerning Toleration of 1698, a Second Letter Concerning Toleration of 1690, a Third Letter for Toleration of 1692, Two Treatises of Government of 1698, an Essay Concerning Human Understanding of 1690, Some Thoughts Concerning Education of 1693, The Reasonableness of Christianity as Delivered in the Scriptures of 1695, and lastly, The Reasonableness of Christianity of 1695. As a continuation, the following are considered the most influential works of John Locke. First, an essay concerning human understanding. Second, the second treatise of the civil government. And third, a letter concerning toleration. So there you have it, guys. That ends the lecture of our presentation. But before we fully end our report, let us have a simple oral quiz to determine how much you have learned about John Locke. Number 1. John was commonly known as Father of Evolution A, Father of Psychoanalysis B, Father of Liberalism C. The correct answer is C, Father of Liberalism. Question number 2. What class did Locke took after he graduated? A. Iatrochemistry, B. Trigonometry, C. Biochemistry. The correct answer is A. Iatrochemistry. Question number 3. What are the most central concepts in Locke's political philosophy? A. Natural law and natural rights. B. Humankind and equality. C. Life, liberty, and property. The correct answer is A. Natural law and natural rights. Question number 4. What is the title of his work that shaped political philosophy? A. Thoughts concerning education. B. Two treatises of government. C. An essay concerning human understanding. The correct answer is B. Two treatises of government. Question number 5. What are the 3 R's according to John Locke? A. Reading, reminiscing, and review. B. Recording, reading, and writing. C. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. The correct answer is C. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. 6. As an empiricist, he believed that majority will learn through A. Reading, B. Experience, C. Asking. The correct answer is B. We learn through experience. Question number 7. Who greatly influenced John Locke? A. Thomas Willis, B. Robert Hooke, C. Robert Boyle. The correct answer is C. Robert Boyle. Question number 8. What qualities are spatiotemporal and quantitative? A. Primary qualities, B. Secondary qualities, C. Tertiary qualities. The correct answer is A. Primary qualities. Question number 9. When did John Locke write his letter concerning toleration? A. Year 1690, B. Year 1685, C. Year 1979. The correct answer is B. Year 1685. Question number 10. In John Locke's letter, what's his primary goal? A. Civil war, B. Decentralized power, or C. Religious freedom. The correct answer is religious freedom. Once again, that sums up our presentation about John Locke. Have a nice day and thank you for listening.